Talk about some of the benchmarking that you do on the Android platforms to determine whether or not they can play software and how that impacts the decision-making process about which codec they actually watch.
Yeah, that's a good question. Android has definitely been the most challenging platform to deploy AV1 on. It's not because it can't, it's because of the a bit of the fragmentation of the specs on Android phones. And that gives us a bit of a challenge. And so what we started doing was to go as simply as possible to uh, do an offline analysis on the decoder on any ARM platform. We started with Mac Minis, we go down to the Raspberry Pi, Orange Pi, and then we just run a decode and we measure the cycles. How much cycles are we using? It's been, published in multiple papers that measuring cycles gives you a close to linear correlation with energy, and so that was a good proxy for us. So after we did that, we found that, things like the fast decode recipes are decreasing the amount of cycles that the decoder would use significantly down to further 25% down, which was super awesome. Um, the libdavid decoder that we use, the open source David decoder that we use, is basically has done a great job in optimizing further the all of the subroutines into Neon assembly, and that helped significantly. They use the latest and greatest kind of versions of Neons when available, so that helped. And so we took that and we started saying that, okay, so now we have a good starting point. How about we start running some battery tests? So we take a bunch of streams, we use some open source tools like VLC benchmarks, and then we basically run the video for hours and hours. And we found that an $80 Android phone could decode and run video for more than 16, 17 hours and so on. And it still has battery to go. We were happily surprised with that. And we thought, let's keep going, right? So, lately we partnered with the ITIM team to build a a little bit of a different benchmarking tool or building on top of VLC benchmark with some little changes to it and how things are done. And we called it VCAT that my colleague again, David Ranka, talked about last week in my High video. And in this, we're hoping that this benchmarking tool would be kind of a bit of moving forward the standard of benchmarking on mobile devices where you can ping hardware decoders, software decoders, any decoders really. And by running these tests and getting them running in an automated way, it helps not only folks that are working on the player, like Avno, or the phone manufacturers, the chipset manufacturers, benchmark properly to a use case that's most basically representative of VOD nowadays and UGC content. And as such, we will be able to see things like energy usage, battery usage, and all of these aspects. So that's our little journey so far.